Once upon a time, there was a kingdom full of happiness. And in that kingdom lived a king and a queen that had only one wish. And that one wish was to have a child. The king and the queen were very kind people, so they knew in their hearts that one day their wish would come true. And one day soon enough, their wish came true. They were blessed with a baby girl. Because she was as bright as the sun that lighted up the day, they named the little princess Sunshine. The king and the queen decided to have a big ball to celebrate their joy and birth of Sunshine. Everyone was invited, even the fairies living in the mystery forest. But the king and the queen made a big mistake. They forgot to invite one fairy in particular. Everyone from all around the kingdom and the kings and queens from the neighboring kingdoms presented their gifts and best wishes to Sunshine. And last but not least, it was time for the 12 fairies. The fairies gave incredibly unique presents to Sunshine. With their magic wands, they gifted Sunshine with anything she could want in the world. In the end, only 3 fairies remained to give their presents. And they also gave wonderful presents to Sunshine.
May the beauty of the world be with you at all times. Little princess, my gift is eternal happiness. May you never be sad and always happy.
Just as the last fairy was going to present her gift, something very unexpected happened. The whole ballroom was suddenly covered in green smoke. And when the smoke was gone, the black fairy appeared. The king asked who this fairy was, crushing this beautiful ceremony. The other fairies immediately recognized her. It was the evil-hearted Black Fairy. So, I see that everyone is invited. All the people in the kingdom, your friends, kings, queens, and the fairies. But unfortunately, I was not invited. The king apologized for their unpolite behavior. Well, I will not leave this beautiful little princess without a truly unique gift of mine. The most beautiful princess will grow surrounded with happiness, love, and admiration, but on her 16th birthday, just before sunset, she will poke herself with a needle and she'll be gone forever.
Seize that monster!
Yelled out the king. But the Black Fairy disappeared with her evil laughter. It was the last fairy's turn to give her gift. She was not as powerful as the Black Fairy, but she wished for something which could at least lighten up the bad curse.
I cannot prevent the curse, but I can affect the outcome. May you not die when the curse unfolds, but go in a deep sleep and wake up with a kiss of true love.
Which has proven to be a rather difficult task for them, because Sunshine was not going to be in touch with anyone but the 3 fairies. Sunshine grew up to be a very beautiful young girl with her guardian fairies. Finally, the day arrived. It was the 16th birthday of Princess Sunshine. It was only until the sunset, before Black Fairy's curse was going to unfold. The king and the queen did everything they could to prevent the curse from happening, but they still worried that it would happen anyway. They locked up the beautiful princess in a room in order to protect her. But having no idea what was going on, Sunshine was not pleased with being locked up. Suddenly, a door appeared in the wall. Sunshine was mesmerized by this door she had never seen before, and she heard weird noises coming from behind the door. Curious and unaware of what was going to happen, she entered the door. In the room she entered, there was a woman sewing with her back turned to the door. And Sunshine walked spellbound towards the sewing machine. Just as the sun was setting, the Black Fairy's curse unfolded and Sunshine reached out to the needle. And at that moment, it happened. With only a touch of the needle, she fell down and dozed in her eternal sleep. And there it was. At sunset, Black Fairy's spell was cast on Sunshine's 16th birthday. They dressed her up with the most beautiful outfit and put her on a bed of flowers. So started the days where Sunshine would be known as the Sleeping Beauty. The king and the queen wanted to stop the pain, so they decided to put everyone in the castle to sleep until the time the princess wakes up. 100 years passed. One day, a handsome prince was passing nearby, and he saw the castle covered with thorn bushes and ivy. His men told the stories about the castle and the Sleeping Beauty. It really excited the prince, so he decided to go in the castle. The bushes were too thick, and the thorns made it almost impossible to go over. So he drew his sword and started opening his way by cutting up the bushes. Cutting his way through, he finally came to the door, and he saw 2 guards at the door, sleeping. He opened the door and was stunned by the view. There were people on the floor everywhere he could see. He started to walk around the castle, and he came to the king's room. The king and the queen also were sleeping on their sofa. Then he saw a room with a half-open door. He entered. This was the room where the Sleeping Beauty was sleeping on a beautiful bed of flowers. The prince came next to the bed, looked at the beautiful princess, and leaned over to her ear.
"You're the famous Sleeping Beauty. You're so beautiful,"
whispered the prince. Feeling overwhelmed with love, he kissed her on her forehead. At that moment, she opened her eyes and saw the handsome prince looking at her. With her awakening, everyone in the castle woke up from their 100 years of sleep. The king and the queen were in a great shock. They woke up and ran to Sunshine's room to see what was going on. And when they saw their beautiful daughter awake, they were full of joy and happiness. The prince asked the Sleeping Beauty to marry him. The princess smiled at him and accepted his proposal. And the king, of course, gave his blessing to the prince, who saved his daughter and his kingdom. They had the most beautiful ceremony anyone had ever seen, and they all lived happily ever after.
One day, the vain, evil-hearted Queen Helle called her chamberlain Dunkov. "Unveil my magic mirror, Dunkov." Chamberlain Dunkov was clumsy and pulled the cover down onto himself. "You fool! Get out right now!" The queen admired herself in the mirror and then said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The magic mirror answered her,
In this land, my queen, you are no longer fairest in the land. Snow White is the most beautiful.
Helle became very angry.
It can't be! No one can be more beautiful than me!
The whole castle seemed to shake with her anger, and her evil heart wanted to destroy the beauty of Snow White. She made a plan and ordered the royal huntsman to take Snow White into the enchanted woods and kill her.
And bring me back her heart.
Snow White trusted the royal huntsman and went with him into the woods. Along the way, she saw a wounded bird on the ground. And Snow White picked up the bird to help heal its wing. Behind her, the royal huntsman sneaked up on her and took out his bow to shoot Snow White. He drew back the bow and took aim, but he could see that the girl had a kind heart as she held the wounded bird, and he decided it was wrong to kill Snow White.
Snow White, she ordered me to take your life. I can't kill a person as good and kind as you.
Who wants to take my life?
It's Queen Helle. You must run away and hide.
The huntsman chose to trick the queen and killed a wild boar instead, so he could take the boar's heart to the queen and make Helle think that the princess was dead. The princess was terrified and ran through the dark woods. She struggled through sharp branches and bats in the night until she could run no further. She collapsed against a tree and fell asleep in the cold, dark, enchanted forest. When the huntsman reached the castle, he marched directly to the queen.
I have fulfilled your command.
Queen Helle took the box and examined the heart. She believed that Snow White was dead, and her evil laughter echoed through the castle. When the sun finally rose, Snow White woke up in the heart of the forest, and there before her was the cutest little house with a small garden gate and picket fence, tiny windows with a doorbell, and a round green door. She rang the bell, but no one answered, and when she reached for the door to knock, it opened. Inside, everything was so small that it felt like she was in a toy house. Tiny pots, tiny spoons, glasses. When she found a tiny bowl of soup, she was so hungry that she ate it. And then fell asleep on a tiny bed. Not far away, the owners of the house finished their work in the mines and went home. As soon as they entered, they knew something was wrong. So they walked quietly and whispered,
Shh. Someone has eaten my bread.
Someone has used my plate.
Someone is sleeping in my bed right now. Such a beautiful girl.
Hey! Look out! Oh, get the lamp! Catch! Oh! Hey! Wow! Get the lamp! Whoa! Catch! Yikes! Phew! Oh! Shh! She's awakened.
She's hiding under the blanket. Don't be afraid of us, little girl. We are the 7 dwarfs. I am Ace, and these are jolly, angry, curious, silly, shy, and lazy.
Well, I am Snow White. I'm sorry I wandered into your house. Snow White told them everything that had happened to her, and the dwarves were very sad to hear her tale. So they said she could stay with them in their little house. Far away, in another land, there was a young, handsome prince. His name was Antoine. He loved sitting outside at night and looking at the stars, which reminded him of the people he loved. One night, he saw the face of Snow White in the starry sky and felt he should seek her out. A fairy told him she was in danger and gave him a magical heart necklace. So Prince Antoine got his trusty horse and rode away to find the beautiful face in the sky. Back in the castle, the evil-hearted Helle was again in front of her magic mirror.
Dunkov, uncover the magic mirror.
Let me see my beauty. Dunkov entered, but the cover got caught on the mirror, and he almost knocked it over. Dunkov is such a clumsy assistant. Always at the most critical times, he becomes awkward and clumsy. The queen was continually annoyed with him. When Dunkov had left, Queen Helle again asked the mirror to tell her how beautiful she was.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
Sorry, my queen, but Snow White, who lives with the 7 dwarfs, is the fairest in the land.
No! I thought Snow White was dead.
The queen stayed up all night, making evil plans to kill Snow White once and for all. She decided the best way to disguise herself, so she changed into a cute little bunny. In the morning, the dwarves went off to work. One by one, they kissed Snow White on the cheek and walked to the mine, and they warned her to be careful while in the house alone.
Now, princess, don't open the door to strangers. It isn't safe.
The forest seemed peaceful, and Snow White began to water the flowers in the garden. The princess noticed a little bunny sitting in the garden who seemed hurt. She went over and picked it up and brought it inside the house. She bandaged the rabbit's hurt leg and let it rest in the sun on the dwarf's bed. The bunny seemed like it was sleeping, but as soon as the princess left the room, the rabbit opened its eyes and looked around. Then it jumped, and turned back into the evil Queen Helle. This was exactly what she had planned. She poured purple poison into the pillow, thinking that the princess would sleep there and die from the poison. Snow White was so tired from working in the garden that she went inside to rest. She was just about to put her head down on the poisoned pillow.
Snow White! Snow White!
When she heard the dwarves come home. The princess met them at the door, and after a delicious dinner, they danced all night long. Snow White fell asleep in front of the fireplace, and it's a good thing that she did, because then she wouldn't be sleeping on the poisonous pillow. When the queen returned to her castle, Dunkov was still asleep, guarding her door. Thinking her plan had succeeded, she went to the magic mirror.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?
My queen, Snow White, who lives with the 7 dwarfs, is more beautiful than you.
Grr! No! I should be the most beautiful in all the land. Me! I will make a plan that will kill Snow White.
A few days later, while the dwarves worked in the mine, Snow White was sewing some of the dwarves' worn clothing. And then she heard a knock on the door. The door was knocked 3 times. Snow White looked through the door to see who it was. And it was an old, ugly woman with a basket of apples.
Who are you? I'm a saleswoman. I have very delicious apples. Would you like to try one?
Snow White was afraid to open the door at first, but she loved red apples.
Here you go. Enjoy it, my beautiful child. A free sample.
Snow White took the apple given by the old woman and took a bite. The apple had been poisoned. She fell to the ground before she could even cry out for help. Just down the road, Prince Antoine rested his horse in the shade of a tree. He had traveled far to find the beautiful face he had seen in the sky. Just off the road, he saw an old woman walking along. He was about to go speak with her when suddenly she transformed into the evil Queen Helle. The prince and his horse were stunned, and he decided to not go ask her for directions. Later that night, when the dwarves came home, they saw Snow White, still and lifeless, on the floor. They were so sad, and their hearts were broken into 1,000 pieces. They crafted a beautiful glass coffin and carried her to the country's longest river so that all the people of the kingdom would know of her beauty. Just downstream, the prince was traveling on his horse on the riverbank, and he noticed the glass coffin in the boat. He recognized the face of the girl immediately. The prince was very sad. But he opened the cover of the coffin. He took the stardust necklace from his pocket and put it on the princess.
Goodbye, my princess. Shine like a star wherever you are.
But just then, the prince saw Snow White move. The stardust necklace was magical and rewarded him for his diligent search of the face he saw in the sky. Snow White revived. When she awoke, she was amazed to have such a handsome prince standing beside her, rescuing her. When they eventually got to shore and returned to Snow White's castle, she and Prince Antoine told the king everything. When the king learned what Queen Helle did to Snow White, he banished her from the kingdom. The king locked the magic mirror and all of the queen's possessions into the dungeon of the castle. Many months later, Snow White and the prince fell in love because this was not an arranged marriage, and had a beautiful wedding in the castle. They invited the dwarves and celebrated and lived happily ever after.
Once upon a time, in a village far, far away, there was a sly woman who didn't like to work at all. This woman had 2 daughters named Emily and Emma. Emma was a lazy and untalented girl. Emily, on the other hand, was a very hard-working and very talented girl. But their mother loved Emma more because she was younger, and she was still treating her like a baby. That's why she had Emily do all of the work.
Emily, hurry up and finish the chores so you can go out and sell the cross stitches.
Because of her mother and sister's laziness, only Emily went to the market in the afternoons and sold her handcrafted cross-stitch. When she got home, her mother would only cook for Emma. Emily, on the other hand, tried to feel full by eating the leftovers from the meals. One day, Emily went outside to edge of the well to make a cross-stitch. She started to embroider her cross-stitch with the crochet hook in her hand. At that moment, suddenly, a rooster mounted on her and began to crow.
Cock-a-doodle-doo! Cock-a-doodle-doo! Ow! Get off my head, you rooster! Oh no! My cross-stitch!
Emily was so sad that she dropped her cross-stitch into the well.
Mother is going to be so upset if she finds out. What will I do now?
Cock-a-doodle-doo! Use your brain and the bucket! Brain bucket, cock-a-doodle-doo!
Emily, as the rooster said, reached for the bucket hanging in the well. She was about to take the bucket with her hand when she lost her balance for a moment and started to fall into the well. When Emily opened her eyes, she found herself in a garden covered with colorful flowers.
What a beautiful place! Where am I anyway?
When she walked for a while, a rabbit appeared in front of her.
Could you help me, please? I can't get the carrot out.
Emily immediately went to help him and pulled the carrot that the rabbit wanted from the ground in one move.
Thank you so much!
As the rabbit happily walked away, Emily went her own way.
Hey, will you give me water or I'll wither and rot?
She saw a rose that was about to dry a little further ahead. Emily immediately came to the fountain to fulfill the rose's wish, took some water in her palm and poured it into the roots of the rose. The rose was revived and gave off a fragrant scent.
Thank you so much! Now I'll be able to live a long, happy life.
Emily continued on her way. After a while, she came across a house. In front of the house, a strange woman who looked like an evil witch was looking at her. Emily was so scared of this woman. She wanted to get away from there immediately.
You don't have to be afraid, my child. Come, I have something to tell you.
Emily went to the woman curiously.
My name is Holle. Everyone loves me very much. If you take good care of my little house, you could stay here as long as you want. All I ask of you is to cover my bed with feathers every morning. I don't know how to get home anyway. I guess I can stay for a bit.
Emily took very good care of the house, as Mother Holle wanted. Every morning, without getting bored, she did not neglect to cover Mother Holle's bed with feathers. Mother Holle loved Emily very much, so she was preparing very good meals for her in the evenings. This is how the days went by. Although Emily was very happy here, she started to miss her real home.
Mother Holle, you know I love you so much, but I want to go home now. Oh, Emily, I'm very happy that you worked here and stayed with me for so long. Of course you can go home now. I will accompany you on the way. Oh, thank you, Mother Holle.
Mother Holle brought Emily to a big golden door. The moment Emily was walking through the store, she's covered in brand new clothes and gold.
A little gift for you.
Eyes.
But how did you find such a beautiful dress?
Emma, hush now.
My dearest daughter, I was so worried about you. Why don't you tell me where you found all that jewelry?
Emily explained everything one by one. At that moment, her mother thought that Emma could do the same. She greedily sent Emma to the edge of the well. Emma threw the cross-stitch and crochet hook into the well. She jumped after them too. When she opened her eyes, she found herself in that mysterious garden where Emily had come from. She saw a rabbit after walking for a while. The rabbit asked Emma for help to get the carrot out of the ground.
No way! I can't get my hands dirty for a silly little rabbit.
Emma walked away without helping the rabbit. Just ahead, she saw a rose that was about to dry up. Rose asked for her help.
I can't give you water. You have all those thorns. They might hurt my hands.
Emma left without helping Rose. Finally, she came across Mother Holle's house.
I heard you're in need of someone to work here. I'm more than happy to take the job.
Mother Holle told Emma what she had to do at the house.
Remember, every morning you will lay feathers on my bed.
Emma agreed to everything. She worked well on the first day, laying the feathers neatly on the bed. But in the next few days, she started to avoid work. The house was getting dirty day by day, and Emma didn't care about the feathers on Mother Holle's bed. Mother Holle was furious when she saw that Emma wasn't working as promised.
I think it's time for you to go home.
Emma was overjoyed to hear this, because she wanted to reach gold jewelry and beautiful clothes as soon as possible.
Yes, that's right. I get my prize and I get to go home.
Mother Holle brought her to the Golden Gate. When Emma walked through the door, mud started to rain down on her instead of gold.
What's going on? What's this?
This door didn't rain gold on you because you didn't do things right. Now count to 3 and go back home.
1, 2, 3.
Then she found herself in the garden of her home. Seeing her, the roosters started to crow.
Cock-a-doodle-doo! Emma's back, and she's all muddy! Cock-a-doodle-doo!
Her mother and sister Emily were shocked to see her in the mud. Emma told them that these muddy clothes were her reward for not doing the chores Mother Holle had given her properly. From that day on, Emma understood the importance of doing a job with love and got smarter and started to make cross-stitch just like her older sister Emily. Thus, the two sisters lived a happy life by making and selling cross-stitch together.